Are you thinking about retiring early? If so, you might wonder how your CPP is going to be affected by that decision. As most of you know, CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, is a monthly payment to you that you can start as early as age 60 or defer it as late as age 70. Now, if you don't understand what the CPP is, we have other videos on that and we'll link that above. But the CPP benefit comes to you as early as 60, which if you retire before 60, you might think, well, there's years I haven't paid into CPP, which means that I might want to start it early. Now, we know that CPP is based on how much you put in. It's a benefit. OAS is based on how many years you're in Canada. But when we look at the Canadian Pension Plan, it's based on how many years and how much you've paid into it. So the more non-contributory years that you have, the lower amount that you're going to get. Now, again, there's typically between 6 to 8 years that are knocked off that you can have no payment years. There's also years where if you were ever on CPP disability or child rearing years, which is years you were at home raising a child under the age of 7. So there are periods of time that will be knocked off. But if you have a long period of time, let's say you retire at 55 and the calculation goes to 65, you're going to have more years that you didn't put into CPP, which means that it's going to lower your benefit. So does it make sense to start earlier at 60, or should you still defer to 65 or maybe even 70? The core CPP number is based off age 65. So if you take it before age 65, you get a reduced amount. In fact, it reduces by 0.6% for every month that you take it early. So if you're worried about, well, I retired at 55, if I wait till 65, I'm going to have more non-contributory years, so I'm going to take it at age 60. But whatever amount you would have received at 65 is going to be reduced by 0.6% every month, or 36% over that 5 years. Well, that's a really big drop. Is it worth it to take early on that? Or do we wait till 65 or defer to age 70? And these are the things that you need to think about. And I talk to a lot of you on a daily basis. You think, you know what, Adam, I retired early, 50, 55, 58, whatever that number is. And because of that, I need to start taking my CPP early because I'm going to have too many years where I didn't pay into it. The thought process is there, but a lot of times I always say talk is cheap, put it on paper and show me the numbers. And the numbers typically map out to it probably still makes sense to defer it. So let's jump into an actual CPP calculator and figure out what those numbers look like and determine what makes the most sense. Now we're going to use some assumptions here in that the client paid into from age 18, when you can start earning into CPP or paying into CPP, they did 50% until age 25. And then from 25 to 35, they did 75% of the maximum you can pay in. And from 35 to 55, they did 100%. So, you're a student, you have a job that's not full paying, and then from 35 onwards, you have a job that will pay in the maximum to CPP. The client retired now at age 55, and they're just looking to determine how much will I get and when's the best time to take it. So let's jump into the calculator and see what that looks like. So let's jump into the software here, cppcalculator.com. We'll link this below as well. It's a great calculator. Again, if you have CPP disability years or child rearing years, then this calculator isn't the best. You want to reach out to someone like Doug Renchie to get a proper calculation done. Now, again, like I said, we put it at 50% all the way to 25. So YMPE is kind of the maximum earnings that you can have to max out your CPP. We put that at 50%. Then at age 25, bumped it up to 25%. And at age 35, we have it at full amount. So assuming they've earned, back in 2003 at age 35, they earned $39,900. Now, everyone's situation is different. I just want to run through this. But again, from age 18 to 25, they've only paid in 50%. So they've not maxed this out their whole life. I'm not doing an unrealistic situation. I think this is probably more conservative than most of the files that we see come through our office. Now, I've run it to age 65. The client is 55, and we've assumed, look, if you continue at full amount of CPP, what will it look like if you continue to work to 65, which we know the client's not. But we hit the calculate, and you can see here, it will give you this chart, and it'll say at age 60, the CPP amount would be 830, at age 65, 1396, and just over 2000 at age 70. And you can kind of hover over here to see the break even. So again, if you take it at 70 versus 60, the break even is going to be about age 76, so quite early. The break even for age 65 to 70 is a bit later, kind of 80 to 81 range. Now, I want to go back and say, okay, well, what happens if we put these all at zero, which is the concern, right? If we're retired at 55, there's nothing from age 56 onward, there's no contributions. That is going to drastically affect it. So if we run this now, you'll see calculate CPP, the break even. So age 60 drops a little bit, 806 to 747. You can see though, it goes from 1,300 and change down to just over 1,000, and from about 2,000 down to 1,500. So big difference. But again, we want to look at that break even point from age 70 to 60. So age 60 is this gray line that goes up. Age 70 is the lighter blue line. You can see the crossover happens at age 78. So if you took it at 60, you can see that right number there, which is a cumulative amount you would have received, 170,000. And at age 70, 168,000. So that's kind of the break even, just 78 and maybe a few months after that. The break even between age 70 and 65, you can see here, age 70, this age 81, taking it at 70 is 224,000, and it would have been 223 at age 65. So the break even 65 to 70 is age 81, but the break even to take it at 60 versus 70 actually goes back to age 78. So if you think you're going to live past age 78, which statistically you will, then deferring it to 70 makes the most sense. And again, 65 to 70, what makes the most sense? Well, if you're going to live past age 81, statistically you will, then deferring it to age 70. So again, that shows you that, yeah, even if you retire early and you get, more non-contributory years, it's still financially beneficial to wait to 65 and really to wait to 70. Now, again, what this doesn't consider is how do these numbers, 747, 1,097 or 1,557, how does that tie into the rest of your income and assets and needs and all of that? That has to be a part of it. So this is just looking purely at CPP. You have to factor in your OAS, any pension, savings, all that, any other type of income that you would have. Again, this also breaks down. You can click on every other number here and see how much you would get over time. And you can clearly see, take any age here, age 95, age 90, where everything falls. And you can see that taking it at 60, it really is the lowest along the way from about, again, that's age 78 onwards. It's the lowest number possible. So every other age is better than taking it at age 60, and 70 from about that age 81 onward is the best result going forward. So again, work through these scenarios when you build out a financial plan. Make sure your financial planner is doing this for you. It'll be a big benefit and a huge benefit to you in maximizing your income. And again, just because you retire early doesn't mean you should be taking your CPP early.